2, 1.
Oh, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Good Friday edition of the Build and Grow with Real Estate Show. My name is Judah Hoover. This guy right over here is Josh Weidman, and again, we're kind of reversed. We got to switch this up, Josh. Just so
watch us.
I just did it.
Boom!
So
the magic of technology.
This is my contact information right up here, and that's
right
Josh's contact information right up there. I am a real estate agent and a real estate investor. Josh is a hard money lender, and he is a I thought you were like talking along with me there or something. I didn't realize you had muted yourself and were politely yelling at your kids in the background. I had no idea what was going on. That was great. Josh is a hard money lender and a real estate investor. And I just gave you some shout out love on Facebook the other day. Did you see that, buddy? Someone was asking for a hard money lender, and I was like, "Oh, dude, you gotta check out my boy Josh." So
I appreciate that. Every day I say thank you.
I appreciate that too. So here's what we're doing. So we come to you throughout the course of the week with some really good content and engaging information. And we think that we've definitely been up in our game there. We also line up really awesome and compelling guests. How about yesterday's guest? I mean, a tearjerker.
Donna was a killer. I mean, she's amazing. Yeah. I was loving that.
Yeah, Donna was amazing. So Donna was with us
yesterday. Thanks for the love, man. Jeremy Bayshore throwing out some love. I love it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, so it was good stuff. And by the way, tag your friends if you know anybody who should be watching this. Today, we're going to break down some news stories, some inspiring news stories, some things to be watching news stories, and let's dive right in, my friend.
Awesome. I need a minute because I was a little slow on the uptake today. All right, boom. We're coming for bear, right? This is a huge story. I mean, I don't care where you are politically.
Right.
If this happens, there are some major things that we are going to, some things are going to happen in the real estate space if this law is passed and this additional $2 trillion infrastructure plan, what do they call it? The American Rescue Plan goes into effect, right?
Correct. Love it, hate it, wish it did happen, wish it didn't happen, doesn't matter. It's going to happen. If it does happen, there are some things that you as a real estate investor can take advantage of. So like Josh said, the price tag on it is going to be about $2 trillion. And a lot of that, it's technically an infrastructure bill. So there's going to be a lot of money to build, a daycare center, in Seoul, South Korea for one-armed veterans. You know what I mean? Like there's always those like things that get, and then we like later find out we're like, how did the U.S. support this project or whatever, but it is what it is. So there's going to be a lot of
hold on a minute. We gotta address these crazy things in these Senate and congressional bills.
Right.
How do you think we do black ops? I mean, let's be honest.
Exactly.
Like I would much rather be funding an orphanage in in some little third world country, and it's like a $75 million building project and there's a hut there, right? I'd rather do that than see our CIA sell drugs again. Like,
right, exactly.
In comparison, like I'll take that every time.
That's a fair point. That's where the money comes from when they do those things. So anyway, it's an infrastructure project. There's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff in there, and people are going to complain about that and everything. And that it is what it is. That's how Washington goes. There also though is going to be some really big things. Number one, they're going to be retrofitting and preserving and kind of renovating up to 2 million affordable housing units that are in low and middle income areas.
Keep going. Keep going. I want to circle back to the 2 million affordable housing units.
I was just going to say so that's number one. So number two, we can break these things down. Number two is that the administration is looking to build 500,000 new homes in the low and middle income. And one of the ways that they're looking to do that is by giving tax credits to people, kind of like there's economic, zones and re-improvement zones and things like that. What they're probably, dude, your kids are super loud, just so you know. So there's, it's all right. It is what it is.
This is the quiet version, by the way.
Nice. So they're looking to do tax credits. So what's great about that is that's you and me, right, Josh? That's you and me looking to get out there and get that work done, and then take advantage of some tax credits and things like that. Who's on exactly, Joe? The other thing that they're looking to do is spend $40 billion specifically targeted and earmarked for public housing. So what would be considered the ghetto or the projects and things like that.
Yeah. So I want to address something here. $213 billion for 2 million units. I'm doing the math in my head here, and 1 billion is 1,000 millions, right?
Why are you putting me on the spot like that right here on the on live TV?
I'm sorry. Why are you doing that? 1,000 millions equals 1 billion.
I think so.
Okay, so we add 2 more zeros. So you're talking $100,000 per housing unit over the next 5 years. All right, this is how I'm looking at this. Number one, right now we have a crunch on housing in general. And this affordable housing for low and middle income, what we're going to really end up with is a surplus of people that can't afford a house, and they're going to be like middle income. They'll be too high to fit into the lower income area, because right now the only people that are going to be building are going to be the government, right? Because let's face it, if you have $200 billion going into building right now, the cost of everything's going up to the point where residential stuff isn't being built. Right. So the only place that we're going to, I guess, get an outlet for this demand is government housing.
Yeah, it's going to be government housing, and for new construction, $100,000 a unit. When you're talking at a national level, some markets that is pretty good, some it's really low, but they're probably factoring. When you have a program like that, there's 10 to 20% administrative cost right off the top. What it takes to administer that money. There are 1,000 millions and a billion. I didn't want to say live on the air without double checking my Google first, because I knew otherwise I'd do that I'd be wrong. And so you're talking about $100,000, $80,000 to $100,000 per unit. That's not a bad price. And when it's the government writing the check, I'm actually kind of surprised that the government is saying that they're going to be able to build housing units at $100,000 per. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, it does. I just wonder how this is going to happen. I mean, they're
going to be union jobs. They're all going to be union construction jobs and everything like that. It is what it is.
Well, if they build them. So, I mean, this is what. You ever watch The Wire? Of course, you watch The Wire. It's one of the greatest TV shows that was ever on. Yeah. If you haven't seen The Wire, go buy it. It's awesome. You'll binge watch all weekend, whatever. The Wire is a perfect example. Remember the high rises and how there are these big government building projects? There's a bunch of them in Philadelphia where they build these huge high rises, and over the years, like a few years, you get $100 million building that turns into a $10 million or $5 million building, and there's so much crime and so much stuff. They end up blowing it up and wiping it away.
Right.
As opposed to, I think the model that's working right now is this combination of private public. Where you have these Section 8 voucher type programs where you know that the properties meet a certain basic level of subsistence subsistence. That a house is a house and it's not a hole in the ground, right? And there we go.
But let me answer this. Let me answer this question here for Jeremy, because I mean it's a little bit long, Jeremy, so I can't get your whole quote here on, even if I try to scroll up. But he says, what exactly is affordable housing? So affordable housing for government purposes, usually what they're talking about doing is they're going to give that money to a builder to build it, and then they're going to say you either have to rent it to somebody who is at a medium to low income person, or you have to sell it to somebody who uses one of these type of loan programs to buy it. And those loan programs are specifically loan programs that you have to be medium to low income in order to qualify for, or it's subsidized rent, or there's a number of different categories. So affordable housing is a catch-all term because it's made up of several different things usually, but those individual things each do have a definition.
And Judah, the other item that you missed here, and this is where things could get a little dicey for investors, is a transition or a mandate that for every building project, a lot of times when they say affordable housing, what they really mean is high density housing. So instead of having, one home per acre, you have a minimum of 12 units per acre of land or something like that, and it traditionally, in suburban areas, it's meant townhouses and row homes, communities, and things like that. And it is what it is. But I think that one of the pushbacks that we've had is that in some communities, affordable housing is a $350,000 row house, or you're in Bethesda, Maryland.
Because it goes by what the median income is for that zip code. So it's very much zip code by zip code and what the median income is for that zip code.
But the fight here is that a lot of these communities, they're saying, well, hey, listen, we don't want affordable housing in our neighborhood. We don't want affordable housing in our backyard, and it may be tied to this development. And that's some of the pushback. But I think generally there's opportunity.
But think about how that sounds, though, right? Sure, everybody says that. And what are they basically saying? Keep the poor people away from me. We don't want the poor people around here. So, I'm somewhat sensitive to that, but I
100% understand people wanting to keep crime away from their kids and have a very good school system that they're willing to pay high taxes to uphold and maintain. I've lived in those communities before. And when you look at your tax bill, and it's like, oh, I'm paying $8,000 for a 1,600 square foot house, that you're paying for something there. And I guess what I'm saying is, I think that there's an argument to be made, and it's not keeping out poor people. It's keeping out crime, keeping out drugs as much as you can.
I think that's a dangerous. I think that's a dangerous thing to conflate affordable housing with higher crime and things like that. I think that there, isn't necessarily, there's that whole correlation and causation thing there. Shifting gears, because that's a whole other rabbit trail we can go down. What's funny here, and then we'll end on this and move on, is I was driving with my kids the other day around, and I was like, guys, look at these little box rancher houses, little brick, very square, one-story rancher houses. And I was like, guys, you'll never see houses like that small of a house on that much land. They must have been on quarter-acre, half-acre plots, and there was, on both sides of the road for a mile and a half. I was like, guys, we don't do development like this anymore, for good and bad reasons. These were obviously built in the 1950s. You just don't see that anymore.
Well, right. And with the advent of, everybody everybody being able to afford a vehicle, you got post-World War, you got just expansion into the suburbs and a new way of life, really.
Right.
Having some land, that was pretty darn attractive. And I think now, people would love to have some land, but how many new neighborhoods do you see that have over a quarter acre, even nice neighborhoods? You're talking about 0.15, 0.1 acre lots.
No one wants to mow all that either.
Right. Right.
You want to keep
Yeah.
your neighbors slightly far away, but you also, you're not interested in mowing all that. Plus, if there's all that there is to mow, I mean, my good friends lived in a neighborhood, and their neighbor was mowing the lawn all the time. It made it very difficult for us to, enjoy sitting outside. So,
Okay.
hey, listen,
Whatever.
we've got through one news story in 15 minutes. Let's keep on rolling.
Jobless claims. All right. So here's the bottom line.
Josh, are you telling me that you don't want to hire this guy right here? You're not lining up to give classic pudgy white middle-aged dude there a job? I mean, I'm allowed to say that because I'm a classic slightly pudgy middle-aged white dude myself, but like, I just think that's
dude,
fun.
that guy's a rocket scientist. He just went down on his break. He thinks this is a loan for donuts. He didn't realize it was the unemployment application. No social graces or personal hygiene, but that dude is smart as can be.
Right.
Look, so jobless claims, they were a little higher than expected this week. What are they? 61,000 higher
Right.
than the previous week. I was looking at graphs at this. Here's the bottom line. We pretty much hit a point where until we're in a normal society again, we're going to have a high level of turnover and churning through unemployment.
Yes.
In looking at a ton of factors, it doesn't seem to me that we have that bad of an economy. I know people, talk up a mean game or a bad game with how bad the economy is, but man, look around. Like I know a contractor that just got an SBA loan in 4 days. 4 days, approval, funding, done. And I mean, close to $100,000 with very little, background check and all that stuff. There's a lot of money from the stimulus packages that we've had that have been sitting there ready to help new businesses and help business owners as things open up to really, accelerate and grow. And so I think that we are going to continue to see some churn on the unemployment line, but not a lot of spikes of, oh my goodness, there's 20 million people losing their jobs, or an extra million from last week for that matter.
Right. No, I completely agree. I think that what we're seeing is in the economy exactly what we're feeling trying to get rehabs done. I mean, try and hire a contractor right now. Try and find a good contractor right now. It is impossible. I'm a admin for a real estate investors club on Facebook, and all anybody's doing is saying, geez, I just can't find any roofers. I can't find any contractors. I can't find any of this. I can't find any of that. Who do I call? What do I, it's really, really hard right now. And they're really backed up and they're really booked out. And the reason is because how great the economy is doing. I mean, look, continuing claims fell. They're now at, by 46,000. And so they're just below 3.8 million. So continuing claims is people that have been on unemployment for more than 2 weeks or more than 1 week. People were saying, yes, I'm still unemployed. So the total receiving benefits is down to 1.5 million. So
okay, hold on a minute though. That's skewed.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It includes that number that you love to talk about so much, which is the pandemic related benefits.
Right.
And those are even running behind. And I think those are going in the positive direction too.
Yeah, I know. That pandemic relief fund or pandemic related benefits, I think that's such an interesting number because it's tracking people that are used to working for themselves as self-starters. And a lot of those, I think, are tied to the types of employment that were artificially shut down. Correct. So as the local economies begin to get back to work and open up fully, and restaurants and people are traveling like normal again, I think they're going to disappear. So I think
that there's also a lot of those people who the reason we didn't ever give those people money before is because they were working under the table. and they're probably still working under the table and also collecting the benefits.
Could be. It could be. Yeah, who knows? I don't think you like those pandemic-related relief.
I think
workers,
it's
man.
BS. I don't think that we can.
Dude,
I
you
hate
shut down the
whenever-
economy,
I hate-
and the guy who was working at Uber,
I know,
making
but
money
here's
on the
thing,
books,
here's the
like
thing. Whenever we're talking about demographics, tell me 3 numbers. Don't tell me what the number. Hey, you know what? There's 1,000 new jobs created this year, or job creation is up 1,000% this year. Great. Well, was it 1 job last year, and that's 1,000 this year?
Right.
Tell me what the 3-year average on any demographic number is before I care about.
That's fair.
And so I want to know a 3-year average. I want to know what 3 years are for any demographics number before I can make an opinion about it. And so when we invent a new demographics number, I don't know, is that high? Is that low? Is that scary, crazy, whacked out high? Or is it whatever?
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's my whole point with that number is it sounds really, really bad. I have no idea what to anchor that in though. And
Sure.
if I don't have any facts to anchor it in, it's just feeling. And even though I'm a very emotional person, I red flags go off at 41 years old, red flags go off in my brain when I'm making decisions based on emotion and feeling instead of being anchored in facts.
One of these days, we're going to get a little clock underneath our stuff, and we've got we've gone through 2 news stories, and we're 20 minutes in. Either that, or we extend the show. It's one of the 2. And I know I do it. All right. So look here, 3rd news story of the day.
That was great comment. That was great commentary there, though, and great way to make sure that you're making decisions based on logic, not emotion.
That's right.
Our listeners are getting value out of this, and we're having fun. Do you think our listeners find us as funny as we find ourselves, Josh?
Probably not. All right. Interest rates are going up. We've covered this before, but it's happening. May 1st, Fannie and Freddie, Fannie and Freddie, as of May 1st, will no longer be taking, or will limit the number of second mortgages and investment property loans to 7% of the
second
overall
home. They're not second mortgages behind a first mortgage, but second home mortgages and investment property mortgages.
Yeah, and they announced this a month ago, but what we're seeing now is that interest rates are going up. Interest rates are going up, points are going up, and lenders are just prepping for, hey, what are we going to do with these loans?
What's interesting about this is the government knows and understands that if you want less of something, you raise the rate on it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we'll just let everybody connect all the dots there that they want to. Not going to say anymore.
All right. All right. Okay, so this is a huge story. It was.
Yeah, we should have led with this. We need 30 minutes on this story alone.
But it's so.
For those of you that don't know, Compass is a huge company. They are trying to do things different, right? They're not really an iBuyer, but they're like a new company trying to take advantage and do things differently than the way a lot of the old traditional brokerages do. And they want to be your one-stop shop. And they have, because their goal was to eventually go public, they were backed by a whole bunch of money, and they were just buying agents. They were saying, hey, you're a producer, I'll give you a $100,000 sign-on bonus. Hey, you're producing this much, I'll give you a $50,000 sign-on bonus, whatever was appropriate. And they also said, you've got to stay with us for a certain amount of time, and there's going to be clawbacks if you don't stay with us, and we recoup those money and stuff like that. And so therefore, there's been some stories out recently about people who have been like, F this, I'm out, here's my check, and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And maybe that's overblown. Maybe it's not. In central Pennsylvania, we haven't heard a whole lot about Compass because they There basically are just like we don't see WeWork space in this area. WeWork and Encompass and some of these other big companies that their goal is to get bought. They focus on only expanding. Their goal is to either A, get bought, or B, go public. They focus on expanding in tier one markets, right?
Yeah.
So they're only in tier one markets, and they've really blown up, and they're doing things differently. So Josh, talk a little bit about how just before we talk about them going public, how is Compass different than a traditional agent?
They're really similar. However, they've implemented some AI technology.
Correct. They want to be tech forward.
Very tech forward, and they raised a lot of capital, which led to them going on a buying spree. Like you said, buying all these agents, right? And they really got people's attention because who the heck would put $1 billion into a real estate company, and unless they've got something edge, what is it? Long-term sustainable competitive advantage, right?
Correct.
That's what you're always looking for. Well, they put together 19,000 agents over the last couple years and $152 billion in residential sales just last year. So, right. I mean, they built themselves into a company poised to go public. And so it's just been interesting. Right now, the climate for IPOs is not great. In fact, Compass, they reevaluated what they were going to look at as their initial capital raise and what they were targeting for their price point. So they came in at what are they? $18 a share was the starting price.
Right.
And by the end of business, it was up 12% to 2015 by the end of trading.
Right. So up 12% in one day, not a bad day. And there's been some criticism recently about IPOs that they intentionally go in low so that they get bid up a whole bunch the first day. But there's the whole goal with Compass here is that they be a tech leader in the brokerage space, and they disrupt that, and they do have some AI stuff, and that they're going to be a hotbed, a testing platform for a whole bunch of AI stuff, and that's why they went public. What's interesting about them is they're one of the first companies that's big like this that is going public. There are some already public iBuyers that it kind of added to what they were doing, and there's other things like that. But this is one of the most recent ones to actually go public. And so how they perform and what they do, there's a lot of disruptors in the real estate space right now, and them going public is kind of the first test to how the market is going to receive real estate disruptors.
I do think that this is evidence that people are super short-sighted, right? The Compass goes public, right? At a point when we have the most competitive real estate market in the history of the earth.
Right.
Prices are as high as they can be. Their income, their commissions, their income generation is all tied to those listings and those sales.
Right.
And for people to be excited by an IPO from a real estate company at this point in history, I think it's kind of interesting.
Because there's so many disruptors in the space, they went public. I think a lot of people were just interested in, real estate. We missed Zillow, we missed other opportunities. When there was other public offerings of companies. Let's jump in on here. And here's John's running commentary. John says a prime example of why advice is critical if you're going to invest in stocks. Mm-hmm. What I love is John is a Edward Jones agent, and she says she's got acres of nerds. Like if you think about like Edward Jones and like their back office, like there's acres of cubicled nerds. And yeah, so plenty of people buy the hype without the substance. For lack of a better example, Bitcoin. So
speaking of hype without the substance, by the way, I disagree with you.
Bitcoin? What?
Totally disagree with you on Bitcoin.
Okay.
All right. Elon Musk news of the week. So earlier this week, Elon Musk shoots out a quick text, and all of a sudden the real estate market goes crazy.
Right.
The local real estate market.
Right.
I mean, the guy's awesome.
Right. Yeah, he's basically saying, hey, guys, look, I'm looking to expand in XYZ town. I need you to encourage people to move there because I need engineers. And what's great is he's like, he's not saying, I'm going to get myself in trouble with saying this. He's not saying you need security guards and janitors and secretaries and things like that. Jesus loves everybody, okay? It's Good Friday. Jesus died for the sins of janitors and, ditch diggers too. I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is Elon Musk is specifically saying that I need engineers. I need essential support. I need technicians. I need, craftsmen and tradesmen in my craft and trade of going to space.
Yep.
I mean, the future's almost here, Josh, and it's going to be so awesome. I'm so excited.
Dude, is that a future with no real estate agents and and rocket ships to Mars? Maybe the only place where real estate agents will be on Mars.
Yes, dude. I gotta tell you, I grew up watching Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Star Trek Next Generation. Absolutely, I know. For those of you that didn't know, I just outed myself as a nerd, and I mean, everything that Elon Musk does just really excites me. So,
me too. See, you're not the only. I'm not the only one on the show with an Elon Musk man crush.
Right, exactly. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of an awesome week, and we did a whole lot on this show, covering news stories, thought processes, to making decisions not based on emotion, and making sure that you are checking yourself on that, and also not buying the hype, but buying substance and looking for value when you buy. And yeah, Josh.
Wow. All right, guys, thanks for joining us this week. Thanks for being here today. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and share. You need a hard money loan, give me a call. To list or sell your home, call this guy, Judah. Our information's at the top. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter. Christ is risen. And we'll see you on Monday.
See you, everybody.